get started up. All right, there we go. All right, Shalom Lord Christ. This is Officer of 1,000 Yahweh, and this is young man Charles. He's gonna help me read. This is the ISUPK Atlanta, and it's the Monday Night History class. It's 1 West, 125th Street, under Commander John Yohana. And today's topic is the Jewish rise to power. All right, we've been seeing a lot where I know everybody's been seeing pretty much basically about what's been going on with Kanye West and everything, correct?
Okay.
Say that, you respond to that. Everybody's been seeing that, right? You've been seeing, he's been like, I seen him on Piers Morgan's show. I seen him on the Drink Champs. He is pissed the hell off, which he should be. Matter of fact, you give me that scripture, a wise man is mad. If you get up, you find it real quick. He's supposed to be pissed off. Like he's coming into a wisdom that he probably was never taught growing up. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, you know he been watching us, man. You know he been watching ISUPK specifically. He ain't been watching IUIC. He ain't watching the Purple Cast.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You'll be getting beat down in front of a church if he was watching them.
Right.
I pray you understand, right? You'll see that. All them people, I see him, he start calling Piers Morgan a boy. Y'all see that? Yeah, he started calling Piers Morgan a boy because he was interrupting him. He's boy, started talking to him. He said, don't call me a boy. He said, well, don't cut me off. I'm a grown man. Went off on him. Kanye West?
Wow.
I like this. This reminds me of old Kanye West. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, all right.
Right.
I'm feeling the brother's spirit. Of course, he's not in complete wisdom because he's not in the school.
That's right.
I just love to see men standing the hell up for what they say and don't back down.
Right.
Stop backing the hell down, man.
Right.
You ain't no damn, man, acting like a damn woman, man. He act like a damn woman. The other thing that was heavy when he said, of course, he's trying to do stuff monetarily, which I understand. He's in that business for the, the media, right? So basically, Piers Morgan, he wanted Kanye West to give an apology. That's what he always want. Why do black men always got to give a goddamn apology to everything we say? So we got to say something powerful, man.
Right.
Why? When you try to talk about the downtrodden of black people, we got to admit a damn apology. They ain't apologized for goddamn slavery, did they? Did they? I ain't heard one damn apology. Have you? I have never heard an apology for no damn slavery. Right. And they profited off of that for what, 500? Still to this day, they profit off of that.
Right.
Man. Never said, I'm sorry, my bad, yo. None of that, man. We ain't get the reparations we was promised.
Right.
None of that, man. We ain't get everything they promised to the American Indians. They said, okay, we're going to set up a treaty, right? They set up this treaty, and what the first thing they do? Break the damn treaty, man. Break the treaty. They wanted to keep them. You see, here's the thing. They make laws. They make laws to you only gotta follow. They don't have to follow them laws. This treaty says here, we're not gonna go on your land, you don't come on our land. If we go on their land, they locking us up in us in cages. They go on our land, oh man, we just trying to get the American dream, man. You can't stop us. They said that it was so many people coming in there for a gold rush. What they compare, man? They compared them as like roaches or something crazy, man.
Wow. So
many covered wagons. They said they was coming in by the boatload, man. They go into when they treaty land.
Right.
Trying to go for the gold rush, man. Oh, you got it from me, read it from
me. This is the book of Salakia. This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7 and verse 7. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad.
Yeah, right.
And a gift destroyeth the heart.
See, that's what we've been given, man. Kanye West is finally getting pissed the hell off. Because, like, I'm not saying he ain't always been pissed off, but now he's in a position where he doesn't, like, he's not in of like day money like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Other brothers like, Nick Cannon, he didn't want his show to be off.
Right.
So he backpedaled. He backtracked what he said. He didn't want his show to be gone. They started threatening him and he was, okay, yeah, I'm going to be back. Man, he apologized so damn much, man, on that damn interview with that devil. The devil was looking at him like he lost respect for him. He looked at him, he said, why you apologize like a little homo? Just apologize. Like, he apologized about 150 times in an hour interview. Just apologizing, man. And then the other scripture say, read that second part for me.
Khan. And a gift destroyeth the heart.
A gift destroyeth the heart, man. So here's what they do. They give you a little taste of wealth.
Right.
Hell, even Kevin Hart even said, he said it best himself. Kevin Hart even said, he said, every level of wealth you get, right? These devils, they'll give you a little taste of what real wealth is. You don't really realize how much money these people have. Like, when they say they poor, they not poor like you. I'm talking about poor devils. They not poor like you.
Right.
They'll live in a trailer park, smoke 1,000 cigarettes a day.
Right.
Spitting out tobacco.
Right.
Look, place just throwing away, nasty as hell. Got $100,000 in the damn bank.
Right.
Talking about we grew up poor. You think I'm lying? You don't think I'm BSing?
No.
I'm not BSing. I've seen it. Myself, I've seen it. Growing up, I've seen devils who was like saying that they grew up poor, but they own 100 acres of land. You ain't poor.
Right.
The hell? Black people, what the hell we own? We don't even own our damn car. We still paying payments on that. The bank own that.
Right.
What do black people own, man? What's on your person? That's it. We don't own our houses like that. We hell, especially in 08, all the people that got evicted. I mean, not even evicted. What happened when you got kicked out? Foreclosure, that's the word. How many people got foreclosed on? Happened to my own family. Everybody got foreclosed on.
Wow.
Am I lying? Am I making this up?
Am
I making it? Have y'all seen this happen? Right?
Mm-hmm.
They said more people. People got foreclosed on like crazy. Everybody got foreclosed on, right? So everybody got foreclosed on, man. Lost tons of houses. Houses went for the market. That's why everybody else that came in after that got the houses for dirt cheap.
Right.
We got a brother here. He got his house for dirt cheap after that, right? He bought his house probably half of what the cost of his house was prior to coronavirus. He probably got a half price of what he could with it while he went for it. Okay. Right? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And that's how much the bubble was, and it popped. Houses weren't worth jack squat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, all right. Let's get into this a little bit. Shalak, y'all went off a little bit, man. I'm gonna tell you right now, I can't stand these oppressors, but I can't stand the ones that's taking our identity even more. You know what I'm saying? I can't stand, I got a big hatred for them. I would a pure righteous hatred. Right. Because not only is they see what they do is I heard a neo-Nazi, he a racist bastard, but he said one thing that always made sense. When he said it, he said that he compares regular devils to birds, like a pigeon, and he compares them to a bat, right? And he said that on far observation, they look like the same thing. They just look like a bird, a fowl, right? Right. But when you get close observation, you realize, well, that's something else. So that's what he's comparing them to, because he knew that on the outside, they look like just a regular oppressor. But no, they oppressing you harder because they done faked you. They going even harder than what even, you think these devils is oppressors? No, these oppressors that they got here, here's what they do. They go and oppress you under the umbrella of being Caucasian, right? Right. They all Caucasian, of course. I'm not disputing that. But they go under I'm trying not to say the real word, because of YouTube. You know what I'm saying? But they go under the umbrella of being your normal everyday Caucasian, right? But then when stuff that arises, and now they gotta make political face, right? They say, "Oh no, I'm Jewish. I ain't do nothing. That was them. They was oppressing us too. Germany was oppressing us. That's those Caucasians. We the good we the good Jewish Caucasians.
Right.
That's what they do. They go under that. They start going to that Jewish umbrella. All right. Let's go here. We gonna get into a little bit of the Khazarian Empire, just so that y'all can get a little bit, get a little history of. This is where they come from, right? This is where they decided to become Jewish. You get what I'm saying? This is where they decided to become Jewish. They were Jewish, right? I was like, there have always been heathens around about Israel. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's always been heathens. Like, if I'm not mistaken, like the Limba tribe that's out there in Africa now, they say that they act real Semitic or like Jews. They act real close to Judaism, as they say. Like the purest form, they're the Canaanites that was right there below our borders.
Right.
And they observed everything because they knew that we was the true Jews. They observed it all just like we did. After we oppressed, after we took them over, because that was the land of Canaan, right? After we took that over, they became subservient to us.
Right.
So then they started observing all the same things we did. There were devils that was above us that observed the same things we did too, but they didn't do it as a not during the time I'm referring to. There was times like as in like when Saul took over, what was it, Agag? King Agag? Like when he took that part over, they were observing our stuff as well with us because he didn't kill all of them like he was supposed to. He didn't kill them like he was supposed to.
Right.
So the ones that was alive was following our customs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But what I'm referring to now is the time of Christ. The time of Christ, there was the Herodian Empire. The Herodians, which came from King Herod, they followed Judaism as like a political move. It wasn't that they believed in the Most High power. They didn't do it like that. They decided to quote unquote become Jews, just like they said to the Native Americans, we come in peace.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. It's just to sucker you in. Okay, they're coming because like even like with the Hispanic community, the reason why we have beef with each other is because we don't, like they said, the black people, they said we don't take a moment to try to learn their culture, learn Spanish and stuff like that before we just talk to their women. That's one of the beefs.
Right.
And that's what they did because our oppressor, they just slithery like that, man. They know human relations so much that's what they did. They used that and they was able to use that as political power to make it so that they can actually take over. You know what I'm saying? And that's also because he was born of a Jew mother, a Jew woman. And that's the whole thing of you a Jew if you come from a Jewish womb.
Right.
All of that BS comes from there.
Right.
From him. Because he wanted to say he was a Jew because his mom was a Jew.
Right.
So even though he's not, he's a devil.
Right.
You understand? All right. Read this for me right here. Okay.
The origins of the Khazars are unclear. Following their conversion to Judaism, the Khazars themselves trace their origins to Khosar, a son of.
You can skip that part because that's not. They said that they try to say he was a grandson of Japheth.
Right.
That's not the truth. They come from Esau. We know that. All right. Right here, it is unlikely.
It is unlikely, however, he was regarded as an ancestor before the introduction of biblical tradition to Khazaria.
So they didn't think about, even though they wanted to say that, because they didn't want to be Esau no more. They always, it's about Esau. They never wanted to be Esau no more, right? But you got to think of, they trace the origins of the people that were already in that land, not them. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's what they always do. They come over here, they go start tracing themselves, saying I'm a Native American. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They take over that land and start saying, I'm the Greeks. So
right.
just to clear that up, that they know that they're not that. They know where the hell they came from. It's already been documented. They came from Mount Seir and Petra. That's where they came from. They know where the hell they came from. They got the same damn buildings.
Right.
The same culture. The same culture. Go look at Petra and go look at that. The whole setup is the same exact thing.
Right.
As them and the Khazarian Empire. Same thing. All right, keep going.
Some historians have looked for possible connections between the Khazars and the lost tribes of Israel, but modern scholars generally consider them to be Turks who migrated from the east. Scholars in the former USSR considered the Khazars to be an indigenous people of the North Caucasus.
Ooh. What's that? North Caucasus, right? All them devils over there in them Caucasus Mountains. Mount Seir, Petra is all over there in them Caucasus Mountains.
Right.
Keep going.
Some scholars, such as D.M. Dunlop, considered the Khazars to be connected with the Uighur.
I be having trouble with these names too.
Uighur or Tayel. Tali Confederation tribe called Hisan in Chinese. And
Chinese sources.
From the 7th century. However, the Khazar language appears to have been an Oghuric tongue, Oghuric, or like ogres, an Oghuric tongue similar to that spoken by the early Bulgars. Therefore, a Hunnish origin has also been postulated, since the Turkic people, the peoples were never ethnically homogeneous. These ideas need not be deemed mutually exclusive.
Okay, what they're saying is that they were never like just stayed all the way together too tough, like where they only had pretty much their own people like that.
Right.
Because another thing that in my research that I found, they were big on doing a lot of power inbreeding with other people. Like they would take in other cultures for power moves. You know what I'm saying? So that's why they would never ethnically, like they would never stay in the same ethnicity.
Right.
I keep going.
Salaki. It is likely that the Khazar nation was made up of tribes from various ethnic backgrounds, as steppe nations traditionally absorbed those they conquered. Armenian chronicles contain references to the Khazars as early as the late 2nd century. These are generally regarded as anachronisms. And most scholars believe that they actually refer to Samaritans and Scythians.
to go too far. Let's go to the right here where he converted.
Khan. Just start here, the title.
Okay, so you can start after that. But basically, we're going to go into where they converted to Judaism.
Jewish communities had existed in the Greek cities of the Black Sea coast since late classical times.
Mm-hmm.
Cherson, Sudak, Kirk, and other Crimean cities possessed Jewish communities, as did George Gorgapa and Samkarsh. That's, I can't see that. Tumakraton was said to have had a Jewish majority as early as the 670s. The original Jewish settlers were joined by waves of immigration fleeing persecution in the Byzantine Empire. Sassanid Persians, particularly during the Salaki.
That's what we'll use when we get to the point.
Khan. At some point in the last decades of the 8th century of the early 9th century, the Khazar royalty and nobility converted to Judaism, and part of the general population followed.
Mm-hmm.
The extent of the conversion is debated. Ibn al-Faqih, Ibn al-Faqih, Ibn al-Faqih.
It's like I think Ibn is like father, like you start to say Abba in the way.
Okay.
I'm not mistaken. Al-Faqih. I forgot what that means because I know they're similar to Hebrew because that's what you call it? Arabic, exactly.
Okay. Reportedly in the 10th century that all the Khazars are Jews.
So he was saying even all of the Khazars are now Jews. There were other pockets of Jews, fake Jews, probably real Jews as well in different places because we didn't, we were a people that was like oppressed. So like if you were in the middle of a city or whatever, right? You know how we got devils that live in our same hoods or whatever?
Right.
The same thing. It could be mixed in and y'all kind of do the same thing because after Rome sacked Jerusalem, and you got to remember this 600 years afterwards. So you don't have any political power no more.
Right.
Being a Jew. You might have certain people like Constantine, for instance, was a black man. He was a Jew, like by ethnicity, not following. Not following being a Jew. He was a Jew by ethnicity because he was a black man, right? So you had people like that in power, but they were subservient to the oppressors. So there was people all around. Well, you can't say they were either black or white. You can't go with that because at this time there wasn't a division based on your color. They didn't do all of that. That happened later on in like the 1600s, where they said everybody black should be a slave. That didn't happen. You wasn't based upon what you like. They might describe you and say he looked like a Mongolian, or he looks like he came from Africa.
Right.
He looks like a Slavic, or they might say you look like that, but they don't. It never was. He's white. He's black.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It never were those terms didn't exist and how they describe each other like that. And it wasn't even if they did it, it wasn't like offensive. Like Persinius Niger. That means Persinius, I don't know what Persinius means, but Niger just means black in Latin.
Right.
In Latin and all the Latin tongues. Right. That's all it means. So something bad like it does now. Like even over there in the Caribbean, you know what I'm saying, calling you black is not an offensive.
Right.
like it is over here. You know what I'm saying? Just to go, it's like if you go over to like what's that? Like Panama area,
Right.
and they call you black, like Panama. What's that? A little bit north, like Venezuela, all that over there. They call you black. It's not offensive like it is here because it was so we was oppressed literally because we were black.
Right.
Over there, they were oppressed because they were slaves.
Right.
See the difference a little bit?
Come.
It wasn't like they put on us being black as being like they literally like you know how we would go in the pool and they got to clean it because they said all our blackness rubbing off in the pool.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We wasn't oppressed to of like being a person as much. Like they were slaves over there, but they weren't it wasn't too hard on their skin color.
Come.
If you get what I'm saying.
Come.
All right. Somebody just joined?
Khan. So I'm Lord Christ. I don't want to put my start checking in.
Hey, Shalom Christ. Shalom Christ. I get 2 out.
12, sir.
All right. Go ahead.
Come. Notwithstanding this statement, most scholars believe that only the upper classes converted to Judaism. There is some support for this in contemporary Muslim texts. However, recent archaeological excavations have uncovered widespread shifts in burial practices. Around the mid-800s, burials in Khazaria began to take a decidedly Jewish flavor. Grave goods disappeared almost altogether. Judging by interment evidence, by 950, Judaism had become widespread among all classes of Khazar society.
So you see, they started off small, then it just everybody. They started off. They were burying people in one way, and instead by another time, everybody was pretty much Jewish.
Right.
This is where the bulk of your, especially Jewish people that are in power.
Right.
A lot of them come from Khazarian Empire, and because they all say that they're Jewish, they'll look out for each other. It don't matter if you Ashkenazi, you Sephardic, whatever the hell.
Right.
You got those ones is over there that got the little ugly little curls.
Acidic.
Is that acidic? I think so. Sephardic, acidic, what's that?
Sephardic, acidic, Sepharic.
Look up types of Jews.
Right.
So you got Sephardic, acidic Jews.
Slovakia, you have, Orthodoxy, Reform.
Okay.
This is not the terms that we were looking for. Fourth sects, Pharisees, Sadducees, Essenes, Zealots. That's not what we're looking for either.
I guess Orthodox, that's what it'll be over there.
I think the Orthodox would be acidic, Slovakia.
Okay. So you got all these different types. So a lot of them come from there. All right. Now to find this is hard. To find the information on the Khazarian Empire, it's hard to find it because it's been buried so much. All of it's been buried. Like if you try to put in Khazar, like you can put in Persia right now, right? Put in Google where Persia is. It's gonna show you exactly what Persia was. Put in Khazaria in your Google Maps, and it's gonna show you. It's gonna show you like a Khazarian like castle type thing.
Hasidic Jews. These guys.
Gotcha. So you got those. So what was I saying? All right. Okay. So let's see anything else I want to bring up. Good. All right. Ashkenazi, that's what it was saying. Now we need to go to how they started taking over. The Rothschild family. Everybody familiar with the Rothschilds? You heard of them, right? Now, here's what you don't know. So they Ashkenazi, they come from Khazaria. All right. Their name ain't even Rothschild. Go figure, right?
Right.
Let me see if I can.
Lie about everything. Salaki.
Exactly. They changed their name. See right here. This is the first one, I believe. Which means red child or red coat. See, red coat. That's what it means. This isn't their original name. I'm trying to figure out which one, who changed it first. But that isn't their original name. Okay. Let's see. Canon Rothschild. Can we find him? All right, I'm gonna have you over here working. All right.
Come.
All right. See if you can find him.
Isaac Elkanah.
See if we can find out. That should be the original one. You should be able to find out his name, because that wasn't his name. They changed their name. They had another name. But they changed themselves to Red, right? Because of course, they know that they's the red dude, the red man.
Right.
You say his real name?
Zamha Zumrat. I think that's it. Is that it? Bakarak?
See if we can find it somewhere. They got it, but it's in whole different languages.
That's why I couldn't read that. Salakia.
But no, rest is Isaac Elkanah Bakarak.
Bakarak.
But he changed it to Rothschild, right? Because he's the red son. He's who's the red person in the Bible? Esau, right? You know where he come from? Like, he might have not said that, but he might have been like, it's spiritual with them. They love the color red, just like they like they meat red.
Mm-hmm.
All right, go here. Okay. You got.
The Rothschild family, wealthy Ashkenazi wealthy Ashkenazi Jewish family, originally from Frankfurt, that rose to prominence with Mayor Amschel Rothschild, a court factor to the German landgraves of Hesse or Hesse-Kessel in the Free City of Frankfurt, Holy Roman Empire, who established his banking business in the 1760s. Unlike most previous court factors, Rothschild managed to bequeath his wealth and establish an international banking family through his 5 sons, who established businesses in London, Paris, Frankfurt, Vienna, and Naples.
Okay, no, let's stop right there.
Okay.
It's funny how this all happens.
Right.
So London, Paris, Frankfurt, Vienna, and Naples. So he had his 5 sons, he got them all into banking.
Right.
So those were the banks they were set up at. Now remember the name Vienna. Remember that. Black people, y'all can remember about them nasty Vienna sausages we used to eat back in the day. I know y'all remember them disgusting.
God.
They used to have.
Right.
All right, Vienna.
Salaki. That's Vienna, Italy.
Like it.
I can't remember exactly where.
No, Naples is Italy.
Yeah, Naples. Yeah, I think so. I can't remember if Vienna is. Go ahead.
Austria.
Like it.
Go ahead.
I just, young man, there, I'm checking that.
Hey, Shalom Karzak 12.
Kind out of my car. I'm out here in Nashville right now seeing my daughter.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, keep going.
Khan. The family was elevated to noble rank in the Holy Roman Empire and the United Kingdom. The family's documented history starts in 16th century Frankfurt. Its name is derived from the family house Rothschild, built by Isaac Elkanan Bacharach in Frankfurt in 1567. During the 19th century, the Rothschild family possessed the largest private fortune in the world, as well as in modern world history. The family's wealth declined over the 20th century and was divided among many descendants. Today, their interests cover a diverse range of fields, including financial services, real estate, mining, energy, agriculture, winemaking, and nonprofits. Many examples of family rule, many examples of the family's rule architecture exists across Northwest Europe. The Rothschild family has frequently been the subject of conspiracy theories, many of which have anti-Semitic origins.
Exactly.
Wow.
So that them having the banks, we were saying that they own the banks is anti-Semitic.
Right.
But they have a private wealth. You know what private wealth means?
La.
You can't even answer. You know it.
La, sir. I was Salakia. I would say money that nobody can touch.
Close. It means that nobody can count their wealth.
Oh wow.
Nobody can count how much money they have. So there's no way that you can, like, you can't. The Rothschild family is the only family that you can't. It's only like that. You can't count like what their net worth is.
Right.
There's no way, because if you own the banks,
right.
Like, how you gonna tell me how much money I'm worth?
Right.
If I set up the whole banking system from Europe, then set it up in the United States, and the whole World Bank is based upon what I have in my family, how you gonna count my money? You can't. You like you say, count my pocket. You can't count their pockets.
Right.
It's a private wealth. You can't. There's nothing. They're not. They don't have shareholders.
Right.
Their shareholders as family members.
Right.
If you want to say shareholder, they said it's been distributed amongst the descendants.
Kind of.
So all the descendants are all independently wealthy. They meet together once every year or so, and they discuss. They have a council amongst each other on how to get richer. They found out what worked, what didn't work, and they say this is what we're gonna do to make everybody be rich. Like we have a council every couple of months, like 3 to 4 months. A major council, they do this on how to be richer, and they tell each other how to make it all work. There's a secret meeting that they have. It's very hard to find out information on the Rothschilds because like they not rich, they wealthy, right? And a lot of them, they have changed their names,
right?
So you don't even know who they are anymore. They could just, they're part of the Rothschild family. Like the people that need to know who they are knows who they are.
Right.
But you're not gonna know who they are. They'll walk right past you, you know what I'm saying? And you won't even know who they are. That's the type of real wealth right there.
Right.
Walk right past you and you don't even know who they are. You're like a regular devil. right? But meanwhile, they own everything they own you to some extent. You know what I'm saying? They own everything. They own the earth.
Right.
You hear what I'm saying? I explained it more. I will get into how I explain how they own even black people. I'll get into that.
Come on.
All right, keep going.
The first member of the family who was known to use the name Rothschild was Isaac Elkanan Rothschild, born in 1577. The name is derived from the German Zum Rotham Schild, with the spelling TH, meaning at the red shield, in reference to the house where the family lived for many generations. Read the parenthetical. In those days, I'll read it. In those days, houses were designated not by number, but by signs displaying different symbols or colors.
Like you know how we got like a crest?
Right.
The crest, that's how you knew who lived at this place.
Right.
It had like a crest.
Right.
But it was like the crest, like you see like the old time of like the Byzantine Empire, they had crests.
Right.
It was like they'll put like almost like on a shield type of thing.
Come.
And you have like it'll be like a T cross or whatever, and they'll have like one thing on one side, one thing here, one thing here, one thing here. That was what they did. That's how you knew like who family it was. So they had the red shield, which means like their insignia.
Come. Salakia. A red shield can still be seen at the center of the Rothschild coat of arms. The family's ascent to international prominence began in 1744 with the birth of Mayor Amschel Rothschild in Frankfurt am Main, Germany. He was the son of Amschel Moses Rothschild, born circa 1710, a money changer who had traded with the Prince of Hesse. Born in the Judengasse, the ghetto of Frankfurt, Mayer developed a finance house and spread his empire by installing each of his 5 sons in 5 main European financial centers to conduct business. The Rothschild coat of arms contains a clenched fist with 5 arrows symbolizing the 5 dynasties established by the 5 sons of Mayer Rothschild, in reference to Psalms 127, like arrows in the hand of a warrior, or like arrows in the hand of a warrior, so are the children of one's youth. The family's motto appears below the shield. I have to read that. Salakia.
I'm trying to see where you got the coat of arms.
Like a Latin. A picture of it.
Let's see. Rothschild coat of arms. So yeah, this is it right here. Fist of arrows, red coat. What else? So they had 5 something.
It's 5 arrows.
Yeah, it's 5 arrows too.
5 pearls at the top of the crown. A lion on one side, unicorn on the other.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's their shield. All right. Every family had this, especially in the family of nobility had a coat of arms. All right. Okay, go ahead.
Paul Johnson writes, the Rothschilds are exclusive. There is no book about them that is both revealing and accurate. Of
Libraries of nonsense.
Salakia. Libraries of nonsense have been them. A woman who planned to write a book entitled Lies About the Rothschilds abandoned it, saying it was relatively easy to spot the lies because it proved impossible to find out the truth. Johnson writes that unlike the court factors of early centuries who had financed and managed European nobles' houses, but often lost their wealth through violence or expro, expropri,
Expropriation.
the water, expropriation. The new kind of international bank created by the Rothschilds was impervious to local attacks.
Look up. I can't remember expropriation.
Expropriation
Yeah.
seems like they taking it away.
But like you can't be like everybody else was violent. Like you can go and take their wealth because you'll take over that city. But they were impervious to that, which means they were immune to that because of the banking system that they set up. Right?
Okay.
We get that.
Kanukan. Expropriation. The action by the state or an authority of taking property from its owner for public use or benefit. Salaki. So that's like manifest destiny. That's by a different name.
Kind of, yeah, kind of. It's like that or the treaties of the American side. They were able to take their land just because they felt like it.
Kanukan.
So they were able, a lot of people, noble houses lost it because of violence or expropriation. But this new kind of international bank created by the Rothschilds was impervious to local attacks. You couldn't locally attack because they had 5 different places that they were in. So what they would do is they would just transfer it over here.
Right.
Transfer it over here. That's why it's impossible to know what their net worth is because they could just move their money from one thing to another.
Kanukan. Their assets were held in financial instruments circulating through the world as stocks, bonds, and debts.
Nice. So all of the debts that were owed, like if a country wanted to get money, they got it from the Rothschild.
Right.
So they own a lot of countries' debt. That's what you don't know. They own a lot of your debt and all of that. They own a lot of that. Man, I'm hoping I had time to tell about all this stuff, man. Hoping I had time. I'm really hoping I got time because I got some things that you have never known about these people here. That's why like they're the arrow when it comes to white supremacy. These fake Jews, they're the arrow. They're not like I said, you'll see a regular oppressor, he ain't got nothing.
Right.
These devils here, he's got nothing. They are literally the arrow of white supremacy. But then they go behind everything else and say, well, I'm Jewish. We believe every man under God and all this other nonsense. But meanwhile, they setting up stuff that get you killed.
Kanukan.
Don't press you. All right, keep on reading for me.
Salaki. Kanukan. Changes made by the Rothschilds allowed them to insulate their properties from local violence. Henceforth, their real wealth was beyond the reach of the mob, almost beyond the reach of greedy monarchs. Johnson argued that their fortune was generated to the greatest extent by Nathan Mayer Rothschild in London. However, more recent research by Niall Ferguson indicates that the greater and equal profits also were realized by the other Rothschild dynasties, including James Mayer de Rothschild in Paris, Karl Mayer von Rothschild in Naples, and Amschel Mayer Rothschild in Frankfurt. You go.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Khan. Another essential part of Mayer Rothschild's strategy for success was to keep control, Salakia, of their banks in family hands, allowing them to maintain full secrecy about the size of their fortunes. In about 1609, the Jewish Encyclopedia noted the practice initiated by the Rothschilds of having several brothers of a branch, firm established branches in the different financial centers was followed by other Jewish financiers like the Biscoff
The Biscoff Shunts, the Perriers, the Seligmans, Lazars, and others. So basically, what they did, they would get all of the brothers, like say like all of the children, all of the children's children, and they would set off in different ones. Like they might have one in just in today's time, car loans.
Right.
He does everything in car loans. This person does stuff mortgages. This person rents business loans, personal loans,
Right.
stocks, bonds, whatever else. Investment firms, investment firms.
Right.
Um,
Hedge funds.
yeah, hedge funds, just whatever type of investment you can have.
Khan.
All of those they separated out, and then they involved other families, of course Jewish families, not just regular people that with other Jewish families, and that was of course close to the family.
Right.
All right, and these are all other. Then they became financiers, which means they were the ones that, okay, hey, I need to go get something done. Let me go get a loan from the bank, and they'll write you a check for $100 million. Or if you got any banking account, they'll now you got $100 million in the bank. Did they put anything there? Hell no.
Mm-hmm.
They do none of that, right? You just now you got $100 million in the bank to go do whatever you want to do with it, but pay me that interest.
Right.
And this is another thing too. Like during this banking thing, like a lot of because Catholics and all of the Christians, they didn't really believe in doing what's the usury, right? Which is interest.
Right.
That charge people interest. But of course, since they don't really follow the law anyway, they charge they behind interest. So that's how and then because there was nobody charging interest, so then now they became the main financiers because now they were able to probably give loans that other people didn't give because how it is. How less likely are you to give out loans if you're not getting interest on it?
Right.
If you give me 20, I'm just giving you 20 back. You don't have a financial incentive to give it to me,
right?
Other than you just give it to a brother,
right?
But if you got a financial incentive, now I got to give you back 30. You like, okay, yeah, I'll loan out $20 to 5 people, and now I got what, $150?
Kind.
Now I got money on top of money. I go do it again.
Kind.
See what I'm saying? Now then, now they made $100, and I still got my money.
That's my
original $100, I still got it.
Kind. It's like you, sir. So the Jewish people still charge other Jewish people interest? I
don't believe they charge other Jewish people interest. I don't know.
Right.
I didn't see anywhere they clarified that.
Okay, kind.
So I can't say either way, but they didn't mind charging interest.
Right.
That's the important part. And Jewish people are a small amount of people, so they didn't have to if they didn't want to.
Right.
Because if they're only 1 to 5% of the population, that's 95%. They get to charge interest to. So it's almost irrelevant whether or not they charge each other. See what I'm saying? So, but they helped out each other, man. They would give loans to each other because they wanted to see other Jewish people succeed.
Right.
So that's why he involved all these other families.
Right.
So they can go, they can succeed. Now they became, independently wealthy system of banking.
Okay, Salaki, sir.
Well,
And that is the law of usury, because you can't charge your brother interest,
God,
but
it
you
is.
can charge the other nations.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
It is.
So
You can do that, but I'm not sure. I can't say they did charge their brother's interest because
right,
it could have been other Jewish people they charged. I just can't say that. I didn't see either way.
right.
If they did, I haven't seen either way. But like I said, they didn't have to because they've always been a small population.
Right.
So, like I said, if it's only 5% of y'all, if I don't charge you don't charge my own brother interest, why the hell do I care? I still got, all these other people I could charge.
Right.
Like even with us, we a small nation of people, right? We only got what, maybe a couple 100 million of us, right? It's 7-8 billion people on the planet.
Right.
Why we gotta charge each other interest? Look at all that. We that's what? 7 billion, and you can say we probably what, about 100 million Israelites altogether.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that? 10. So what's that? That's 10% of a billion times 8.
Right. So divided by 8. Because it's 8
So we that much
people.
smaller.
Right.
So we're probably like 1%.
If that. Right.
of everybody.
Something. Right.
So why do we gotta charge? We don't have to charge each other interest. We got all these other heathens to charge. We ain't got it, man. I ain't gotta charge you interest because it's 20 heathens right down the street. I can charge them, right? Because you gotta be set up in power to do that. That's what true oppression is. That's what true racism is. You have to oppress people, but you have to have power to oppress people.
Right.
You can't just be a bigot and talk junk. That's what that's what we do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm
Right.
going against what we do. We're supposed to do it, but that's all. We just bigots, according to definitions. You know what I'm saying? We bigots. We just don't like them because we got our reasons, but we don't have the power to oppress them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? These Jewish people got the power to do whatever the hell they want.
Kind.
All right. Let's see. All right, go ahead. Sorry, and these.
And these financiers, by their integrity and financial skills, obtain credit not alone with their Jewish confreries, but with the banking fraternity in general.
Mm-hmm.
By this means, Jewish financiers obtained an increasing share of international finance during the middle and last quarter of the 19th century.
So with them doing all this, they obtain a large and steadily increasing share of international finance.
Right.
So if all our international banks, they got that much, right? They just increasing without them really doing much. All right, keep going.
Khan. The head of the whole group was the Rothschild family. It also says of more recent years, non-Jewish financiers have learned the same cosmopolitan method. And on the whole, the control is now The control is now rather less than more in Jewish hands than formerly.
Okay, now that's a lie because it's Wikipedia. You gotta go, like, anybody can go in and edit it when they want to. So you gotta know what's already true and what's false. All right. Now, here's how I'll put it. There's more people in the game, but there's only one tree. But you got a lot of leaves and branches and squirrels and birds, but there's only one tree.
And Salakia,
see what I'm saying?
And could it be that they're just speaking of the white people that just wouldn't call themselves Jewish?
That's the other thing I was about to bring up too. Yep. There's other people that are Jewish that they don't call them. They call. We gonna get into some of that too. They call themselves Marranos or Converso, something like that. That's what they call themselves, right? So we gonna get into all of that if we got time. We running out already, man. I'm gonna have to go over a little bit about
Come.
All right. Keep reading that part. Keep reading that paragraph, and
Okay, formerly, Mayor Rothschild successfully kept the fortune in the family with carefully arranged marriages, often between first or second cousins, similar to royal intermarriage.
Mhm.
By the late 19th century, however, almost all Rothschilds had started to marry outside the family, usually into aristocracy or other financial dynasties. With his sons were
you know what to go into.
okay,
So.
come.
But they started mirroring out a little bit. But other people of power, so they didn't. It still was arranged in a way. It
Right.
just wasn't, like they was staying in with their cousins or whatever. Let me see if I can get some of this here. Okay. Oh my God, I just found something else out, man. Good night, boy. These devils here. Whew. Whoo-wee, boy. See where I want to go to now. We went to the Khazars. Okay. All right. We're going now. We're gonna get some books. All right. Now this is a book written by a Nation of Islam. We don't subscribe to be a Nation of Islam, but this book has a lot of sources in it. So we're gonna just read a few things, a few paragraphs inside of it, just so we can get some context on some of this stuff. All right. Now go to right here.
Khan. On August 2nd, 1492. On August 2nd, 1492, more than 300,000 Jews were expelled from Spain, ending their 5-century involvement in the black hostage trade in that region. In fact, the Spanish Jews amassed large fortunes dealing in Christian slaves and became quite prominent within Spain's hierarchy.
That Christian slaves was you, just so you know.
Right.
That was you, Christian slaves.
Right. They had obtained the most important offices and positions of trust in the cabinet and counting houses of the rulers, and had maintained great influences over the regional trade, causing many to believe that the Jews exercised an unhealthy domination over the economy of the region. The rulers were convinced enough to order all Jews to either convert to Christianity or leave Spain.
So they was forcing them to convert to Christianity or leave Spain. So this happened in 1492. So what actually started happening? Now you can't find it here, but during my studies, I found a lot of the popes were Jewish. They just were conversos. A lot of them were just believe the first few popes, and speckled among all the rest of the popes, they all were Jewish. They just were Christians. They converted over.
Okay.
Like I believe that they said there's evidence showing that Christopher Columbus was possibly a Jew, a fake Jew, of course.
Right.
There's evidence of that. So it's not 100% that, but there is evidence, there is literature saying that he was a Jewish, I guess we'll call it. He was Jewish. All right, go ahead.
The Morenos, the secret Jews.
Mm-hmm.
The Morenos.
Yeah, that's what they call them, Morenos, or they call them something else. Go ahead.
The Morenos were those compulsorily converted Jews and their descendants who outwardly became Christians, but secretly continued to meet in the synagogue, celebrated feast days, and observed the Jewish Sabbath.
Now, some of this was black people too. I'm not saying we were in power. Some of us that were black that forced to convert to Christianity. Just so y'all know, there was some of us that still tried to help. It wasn't a lot, but it was small amounts of us. Okay, I just want to let you know. All right, go ahead.
The name Moreno may be derived from the Old Castilian Morano, swine, or perhaps from the Arabic Maharan, forbidden. In 1350, Spain began a series of conversion drives to convert all Jews in Spain to Christianity. And in unprecedented numbers and with little resistance, the Jews converted. This rash of mass conversion, an event unparalleled in Jewish history, is perhaps best summed up by Cecil Roth. Quote, it was not difficult. This is the end. I'm at the end of this paragraph.
Roth?
Cecil Roth.
Cecil Roth, but you know, that means red.
Right.
So you know, Roth, that means red. It's like Rothschild.
Right.
So that's what
red coat, or red shield.
Mm-hmm.
Cecil Roth, quote, it was not difficult for insincere temporizing Jews to become insincere temporizing Christians. The Morenos, also called conversos, the converted, or Nephiti, the neophytes, or new Christians, were simply charged with not being Catholic. The same applied to the Muslims, who were expelled in like manner and in greater numbers than the Jews. Some 50,000 Jews chose to convert rather than leave their land and their riches.
So a lot of them just converted over for political power. They don't want to leave their riches, right?
Right.
And of course, you know, because of the Nation of Islam, they want to say, well, more is Muslims moved over. But you got to think black people, why do black people become Muslims?
Because they went to jail, Salaki.
They don't get, like, killed.
Right.
That's why they were Muslims.
Right.
For protection. That's why black people became Muslims. So don't read in too much of this, because you got to think this is like, you know, history is always going to be like rose colored, which means it's going to be whoever is writing it, they're going to color it to the lens that they want it to be. Like I said, it's a Nation of Islam book. Right. So you got to look through a lot of the extra stuff to get to where you're really trying to go. So you see that they was expelling people in and out of there or whatever. Because, you know, there's pictures of black people that got forced converted into Islam. So they wore the whole Islam garb, but had fringes on the bottom of their clothes that he had to almost have in secret.
Right.
So that nobody would know that they was Jews, because they got forced to convert. So they didn't die. You know what I'm saying? So Islam is the same thing as Christianity. They kill you. They come in and kill you for it.
Right.
All right, go
ahead. Contrary to popular notions, those who left were not refugees searching for religious freedom, but entrepreneurs looking for economic opportunities.
Some people that came over to America, they weren't looking for no damn freedom.
Right.
They were looking for money, bread. You know what I'm saying? Dollars.
Right.
Pesos, whatever you want to call it. They looking for all of that.
When they fled, they brought with them few Torah scrolls and even fewer copies of the Jewish holy book, Talmud.
Because, you know, they that's what they follow, the Talmud.
Right.
They follow more of the Talmud than the actual Tanakh. Torah.
Few Torah scrolls.
Yeah, got a couple of them. Just so, hey, we Jewish, you can hold it up.
Right.
There you could tell because whenever we did something, when we went somewhere, what did we have? Got to testing y'all. When we had to leave and go somewhere else, what did we take with us all the time?
Salakia, the Bible?
Lie.
Okay.
Well, kind, but it's one important thing. What do we always take? I'll give y'all a hint. We took it into battle with us.
No. Sword.
Lie.
To the battle.
I'm testing y'all.
Salakia, the chest plate?
We did, but that's not what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Sloppy with shield.
Huh?
Shield.
Lie. Anybody on the conference call know? Nobody know? You're gonna be mad when I tell y'all this.
Sword.
The Ark of the Covenant.
Oh, wow.
Ah.
Right.
I'm not saying we would have taken that, but we would have taken some in similarity because even the Aztecs, I believe the Aztec, they got a drawing somewhere, I think it's in like California, where it's showing them holding the Ark of the Covenant. There's actual pictograph of it. That's heavy, ain't it?
Right. Salakia.
Yeah.
So they came over here and made their own
Mm-hmm.
and then carried out the same traditions pursuant to Second Esdras. That's crazy.
That's how you know that they weren't the real Jews, and the real Jews, like we were in power, but like, how do you put it? I don't want to be like, we weren't in absolute power.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we might have had some countries, but it just, when that time of the Dark Ages, our oppressors, his lies just wasn't able to take fruit anywhere at that time. It doesn't mean that he didn't have power. We were, like I said, we weren't in absolute being a Jew power like the Most High promised us. If he was an absolute that, we would have had the Ark of the Covenant.
Right.
That's why you see every time that we had it, when was the Ark of the Covenant lost? And in the Apocrypha, right?
Salakia in 70 AD.
No, it was before that.
Before that, Salakia.
But it was in the Apocrypha. When
Kanokan.
in the Apocrypha, that was the last wars that we had when we had pieces of land that we owned and we had somewhat of power. And ever since then, we haven't had absolute power like that ever again. We had, once they sacked Rome, that was it. Like I said, we might have had King James running Scotland, but you got to remember he's under attack by all the other kingdoms trying to take him out. He wasn't solely by himself, and like we just ruled it. We had rulership titles a lot of times, but we were in a lot of strife, a lot of wars, and all of that. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't an absolute power like when David was ruling or Solomon. We had absolute power,
Right.
over at least our land in the truth. We didn't have that no more. Just so y'all understand.
Right.
Go ahead. But these people that say that they're Jews, they would have had all of this stuff if they were, because they in power. They can have all of that if they want to, but they're not the real Jews. So they're not gonna do it. Go ahead.
Kanokan. Salakia. When they fled, they brought with them Salakia. When asked what he thought most Marranos knew of Judaism after their flight from Spain and Portugal, Roth answered in one word: nothing. The majority fled south and eastward to North Africa and to centers like Salonika, Constantinople. Salonika?
Mm-hmm.
Constantinople, Aleppo,
Mm-hmm.
and Damascus.
Now that's talking about a lot of us, because a lot of us went to North Africa, a lot of us went to Constantinople, which is Istanbul now.
Kanokan.
So a lot of us went there. That's black people too. So don't think that it's like I said, you can't go all of the time. It was all black people. It was all Caucasian people. It was a mixture. Some people call themselves Jews, and you know, we as being black people, we accepted everybody for some damn reason. You know, so but that's one part I wanted to go to on here. To, okay. Okay. Go all right. Go right here. We're gonna just skim through this a little bit.
Come. Christopher Columbus was an experienced sailor long before his infamous voyage west. Sir Arthur Helps writes that in the course of his letters, Columbus speaks after the fashion of a practiced slave dealer.
Mhm.
In fact, in 1498, his 5-ship expedition brought 600 Indians to Spain as slaves. 200 were given to the masters of the ships, and 400 sold in Spain. Columbus employed slave labor in gold mining even before sailing for the New World. He helped to start the Portuguese West African slave labor settlement of San George El Mina, St. George of the Mines, in present-day Ghana, formerly known as the Gold Coast. When Spaniards found gold in the New World, reports Eric Rosenthal in his book Gold, 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 the Johannesburg Gold Rush, they started on a gold hunt of such intensity that the natives came to believe that white men suffered from some disease curable only by the limitless application of this metal. When Columbus discovered that apart from some poor alluvial deposits, the gold simply did not exist, he forced the harmless Indian Aborigines into slavery. The entire importation of gold from the New World from the first 20 years after 1492 represented in cash only $300,000 a year, and the total then recovered worth about 5 million cost at least 1.5 million Indian lives.
Killed that many Native Americans, man. For how much?
300,000
$300,000
a year
A year.
for 20 years, amounting to $5 million over 20 years.
Killed them for no reason, just for money.
So,
And then that's what he said. This was like the Native Americans. They said that they call gold. They nickname for it. They said the yellow rock that make the white man go crazy.
right.
That's what they called it.
Salakia said they thought they had a disease
Mm-hmm.
that they could only cure with this metal. And I know some athletes making more than 5 million over 20 years.
Well, you gotta think the price of it now is way higher than it was at that time. You talk about now they billionaires in this time frame. That 5 million that they got is billions of dollars now. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you add in all of the interest and stuff they was able to accumulate in that time. Since they had that type of money, they were able to buy a lot of land, and then the value increasing of everything they had is well over billions of dollars now.
Come.
All right. Where you at? I go there. Yeah, read that.
Columbus was anything but a blessing to the New World population. The Europeans, led by Columbus, brought unprecedented brutality to the West, leaving the remains of whole communities of red people in their wake. On Hispaniola, Columbus found gold and a docile Arawak population. He lavished praise on the natives and gained their trust and affection, and then proceeded to enslave them. According to Columbus, they are without arms, all naked, and without skills at arms, and great cowards, 1,000 running away from 3, and thus they are good to be ordered about, to be made to work, plant, and do whatever is wanted, to build towns, and to be taught to go clothed and accept our customs. Cities.
So this is talk about the Arawak Indians.
Kamakan.
So that's a lot of your Caribbean.
Right.
Like Hispaniola and all of that was the Arawaks, and it was the what was it? What do they call themselves? The Boricos. It's something like that. But they call like the Native Americans. That's what they call themselves. Or they might have just been called by the oppressor, but they had them running or whatever. But you gotta get more stuff on that, because that could just be them lying.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because what he had to do was Columbus. What he had to do, he had to because he went there first, right, trying to find the land. Then he came back over to Spain, right? He had to sell himself on why they should go back to the Americas. So this is what he's doing, is selling it. So that could be a lie, because they're liars,
right?
Of course. So I never seen any evidence of that ever. All accounts, they treated them great. The first time they came, they really didn't treat them bad. And I know they left some over there, and they came back. They killed them bastards because they were trying to take them over.
Kind.
Yeah, over there in Hispaniola, which is Dominican Republic.
Right.
And Haiti, they went over there. They left some over there, and when they came back, they was dead because they tried to take over those people there. So I don't know how cowardly they are. They just probably never seen their type of weapons. They didn't have, this time they had firearms. They just probably never seen anything like that. They had bow and arrows, probably slingshots.
Staffs.
Yeah, staffs. Spears, the main type of weapons that people have, and that's how they fought each other. Probably even had swords or something similar to it, but they didn't have, guns. They didn't have that, and they probably had cannons and all of this stuff. But from all accounts that I've seen, the first meeting with the people over there, native and the oppressor, the first meeting, everybody, it was smooth. It wasn't no beef. Only the people that was beef was the people that was left, and they got killed. So,
and Khan, sir, Salakia, about that 300,000 that they were making per year, and that 5 million, I think that does mostly account for inflation, due to the fact that Eric Roth wrote that book in 1970. So that wasn't that long ago that he's equating the cash value to then. So we can apply the inflation from 1970 to now. So 300,000 can really mean like 500,000.
That's more than that now. 2022 is way more than that.
300 in 1970?
Yeah, it's about 10 now, times 10.
Sheesh.
Seriously, it's about 10. We were doing a lot of these like from in a similar time frame, maybe the 40s and 50s. All of them were like times 10.
Because
now remember, just inflation over the last 2 years is like double or triple. So it just went up that high. But yeah, inflation is very high. So, but you got to think of, imagine your family in 1492 getting $5 million in 20 years out of slave labor. Just think about that for a second. Slave labor, your family in 20 years, compound that by 8%, for 400 years, that's the average percentage of any investment that's successful that you want. And most wealthy people, they want 8% compound interest. I don't even know how to put the compound. Compound that for 400 years. Easily billions of dollars.
Right. Kind.
You know what I'm saying?
Kind. More than the national debt.
That's what I'm saying. Easily. Easily.
Kind.
That's what I'm saying. And you gotta think. Now, that don't mean all investments was only 8%. That don't mean that. You could have had 100% on some investments. Some investments you might have lost a little bit. But I'm saying is that what a wealthy person, when they want to put their sure money on, is on an 8% increase every year on something. That's what they want for sure things. Now you got some riskier things. You put it on like the banks, of course. They'll put on, tag 20% interest.
Right.
Cars, 20% interest. House, large increases on that. So you got a lot of things that they would have. Like they would buy land with that. And with that land, they built cities on. So they're not a city has to pay them to be on their land. So just think about all of that. There's hospitals that's built on lands that other people own, and they got to pay them rent every year. That's just stuff you don't know about.
Right.
You don't know that they did that. But there's hospitals built on people's land that they got to pay them a check every month or once a year, however they worked it all out. They got to pay them a check. And that check one time could be millions of dollars for that land that they built their hospital on.
Right.
No, because a lot of the land that they have now is not for sale. Most land that's available is not for sale. The federal government owns probably about, I don't want to say no percentages, but more than 50% of the land that the federal government owns. So you add that and plus a little bit of land that is, I'm just throwing out numbers, so don't exactly, you know what I'm saying? Let's say they own 50% at least, right? I would go for probably closer to 60, but let's say 50. So let's say 40% of the land is already owned, probably by, generationally has been owned.
Right.
There's only really 20% that probably can be sold. It's just so much land, it doesn't seem like it, but there's 20% of the land that can be sold off or whatever. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times people, they go buy those land or whatever. When they go build something, they're buying it from the federal government. Every now and then the federal government, they'll have like an auction. You don't know about it because you're poor. But those land developers, I'm sure you probably see some of that.
Kind of
construction. Land developers, how they be getting properties. Like, how the hell you get that?
Right.
Right? They get it from the federal government and all of that. Or sometimes it could be a deal they make with the people that own the land, of course. The millionaires and billionaires.
Salakia. I know.
You can speak on that if you know something.
I know a multi-million-dollar family group, property group. Should I say the name? Oh, Khan. It's Braden Feldman property group out here. It's owned by father, son, brothers, grandson. That's how Braden and Feldman is two different white guys and their kids that run everything. They got property.
It sound like the Jewish people, don't
Khan, sir. Khan, sir. They got a property in downtown Decatur. If you know anything about Atlanta, downtown Decatur is right now big money properties. You talking about a 3-2 that's 1.1 million. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1.1 million.
Especially North Decatur too.
Khan, it's right there. I'm not gonna get the address, but it's up North Decatur. It's in North Decatur. They acquired that property, and it's a huge corner lot property, huge old house. They got that for $10,000 cash, silent auction. Only they knew when it was coming up. They had the connections. They the ones that bid for it, put up 10, paid for it cash. I was one of the me and my homie had the contract to renovate the entire interior, flipping that whole thing for them. That's now their headquarters. They made that the headquarters of the entire company is that large of a building, and they filled it up with with different rooms and offices. This section, the finances section, the banking section, the real estate section. All of those sections are in that property.
Now, but what do our person tell you on how you get wealthy? You got to pick yourself up by your bootstraps. You got to work hard and all that, right? Do you know what black people need to be wealthy? I'm letting y'all answer.
Oh, nepotism, Salakia.
You own it. That's not the word I'm looking for.
Okay.
But you own it. Yeah, but what do black people need?
Power. Salakia.
Before you get power. What does the ISUPK teach?
Brotherhood.
Exactly. Get that brotherhood. Need brotherhood.
Right.
They got brotherhood amongst each other.
Hence why nepotism.
Exactly.
Right,
That's why I
right.
said, yeah, nepotism. If anybody don't know
Right.
what nepotism is, that's like you having like a friend or family, and you give them a position and a job of high importance just because you know them personally. That's what nepotism is. In case anybody don't know, that's what that means. That's why I said brotherhood. Because if you go prefer one another, man, I'm hiring this brother than some devil. I don't care what the qualifications is. Can you do the job? If not, can I train you? Oside Christ, you doing the damn job in the store. You ain't. That's what they do to us. Do they not? I done brought it out during the times of when they get the whole with the Labor Day. Labor Day is basically racist because black people came out more qualified and worked cheaper than they white counterparts, and so we was getting jobs. So then that's when they made the union and they kicked us out the jobs because they wanted them to be in the jobs more.
Right.
Now the major corporations wanted us because, of course, they philosophy is paper, but the little more smaller ones, you know what I'm saying, wanted to get them out. They just obliged with them because they don't want to seem as you know how big corporations like Twitter, like how they'll ban somebody because of the public perception of somebody.
Right.
Right. But on Twitter, you got everything on Twitter. But they gonna ban Kanye West because he said DEFCON 3 to the fake Jewish people. But you got all kind of nastiness on Twitter, right? You can put on there whatever you want. What else? Damn, what time is it? 8:53.
Salakia, if I may.
Go ahead.
All right. This is a quick fun fact. Based on the numbers that we got out of this book, and based on the fact that you want to generally invest at 8% per year, 8% increase per year, the amount that they would have today, adjusted for inflation, would be $258 quintillion. Dollars.
No, I gotta say anymore.
Oh, Salakia, not quintillion. No. It's quadrillion, 100 quadrillion. The next level is quintillion. No. After trillion is quadrillion, and then quintillion. So it's 100,000 more than 100 trillion.
I get what you mean.
Right.
I get what you mean. So now you see the type of money these devils is working with.
And then divided amongst how many ever descendants for the last 500 years. I think I'm fair off with that kind of division.
Man, I only got $100 million in the bank, man.
That's
what
it.
you do for it? Be born.
Be born. God,
God,
sir.
Then come out crippled.
Sheesh.
That's what you did. They
Kamikaze,
didn't earn this money. And it's like, and here's how you gotta put it. It's not, but you can't all the time look at the number that's on here. You gotta look at the access to policies, the access to, like, because you got these banks, you got the country's ear. I mean, you really got more than I can get real graphic. But let's just go to like you got them by the stones. Let's just be real.
Kamikaze.
Because you run their whole banking system.
Kamikaze.
right? All right, go to page 18 for me. Yeah, go to right, it says Brazil.
Oh, right. So page 20.
Yeah. All right, page 20.
Kana.
Page up. Let me see real quick. Yeah, that's it.
Brazil was the anchor Jewish community from which other Western communities took root. Portuguese Jews arrived in Brazil in 1503, led by explorer Ferdinando de Noronha and Gaspar de Gama, who had obtained from the King of Portugal a virtual monopoly on settlement in the region. They brought sugarcane, technical skills, and slaves, and soon transformed Brazil into the most important area of sugar production in the world. So important that the scholars concede that Portugal could not have survived as an independent nation without the Brazilian sugar trade.
So you saved them devils.
Right.
The Brazilians saved them devils.
Right.
Like, you don't understand. This whole country, this whole world is based upon you.
Right.
You is the economy of this whole earth. You just don't know it yet. When we took our economy and put it into ourselves, we became the richest nation. We became like the richest city. Black Wall Street was the wealthiest city that ever existed. And we did that in what, 50 years?
Come.
Just imagine if we got the money off of what we invented, our athletic ability, our music ability, our entertainment, which like movies and like comedy. You take all of these dollars that has been generated that we invented, Black people, we would be more wealthy than Jewish people.
Come.
Overnight. If we got that money right now, if the money that was made just the money that was made that they got off us, it just hit like in everything else stayed the same. If the money that was made off us was just put into our bank accounts today, we'd be more wealthy than all of them.
Come.
That's for real. And they can keep the money that they already got. We just get what we supposed to have. We'll be wealthy than all of them. Right? All right, keep going.
Sugar was the first production in Asia, but as late as the beginning of the 15th century, sugar was so expensive in Europe that it was sold only in pharmacies for medical purposes. Portuguese Jews developed their mastery in the trade by establishing plantations on the islands of Sao Tome.
Let me see. What is it?
Sao Tome.
Yeah, Sao, like St. Thomas. That's what
Right.
Saying, but it's like in
Off the west coast of Africa. That's St. Thomas. Employing at times as many as 3,000 Negro slaves. The first colonists came annually on 2 ships with criminals, Jews, and prostitutes for the purpose of catching parrots. Those condemned as sinners sought refuge in Brazil's open range, and the Jews saw the commercial potential and established as many as 200 settlements along the Brazilian coast in the 16th century.
And you see that was a sugar cane, right?
Come.
This is one of the people that founded Chase Bank. Read this for me right here.
Come.
You don't get back to that. Keep where you at there.
Come. Malik, who was born in Lebanon Township, New Jersey, in 1770, started as an apprentice at a mercantile house at the age of 13. In 1792, at the age of 21, he was admitted to a partnership, and for many years he was a prosperous merchant in Greenwich Village in New York City. In 1795, he was listed as a grocer doing business at 183 Washington Street. Melick founded the commercial house of Melick and Berger, which owned trade vessels sailing in the Caribbean, doing much of its business with the island of St. Croix. The firm,
which is in the Caribbean.
The firm, which had its office at 76 Washington Street, owned a ship known as Chase, which afterward was prominent in the sugar trade.
God damn. Chase Manhattan got ties in your slavery. And it's just one. I just happened to look it up on a humbug. I was looking it up. You know what I'm saying? This is one of them. There's like 4 or 5 of them. That's just one. Right?
Salaki, sir.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny how this is even worded. Like just reading it, which you've read it in history classes in high school and college and things like that. It's just the sugar trade. Mm-hmm. But you never think, how was that sugar produced? Mm-hmm. How was that sugar harvested? How was it planted? Mm-hmm. How was it like sown and reaped and all of these things? Mm-hmm. It was through all of this. Yep. It's slave labor, and they just call it the sugar trade.
Exactly. And more importantly, like just talking about brothers closer to where you from. Well, because you from South America, correct? So this closer to brothers that he's from. So that's just showing you, like, so they've been making money. Like with Kanye West, he said I'm not doing that. He said I'll give you an apology when we line up all of these people that makes all the deals with the music, entertainment, athletes, all that. We write their deals. You see the deals with prominent lawyers. He said the Johnny Cochran of lawyers. And we have it all open. We see what you've been paying and how you've been making business with the oppressors versus us. And then it needs to be live on air.
Right.
So you can't edit nothing. He said, then I apologize to the
right. Damn right.
As he said, that's when I apologize to him.
Goddamn.
But he said they've been hurting us this whole time, just been making a killing off of. You don't understand. You the reason why they wealthy.
Right.
Black people is the reason why they're wealthy. Right. They weren't that wealthy before slavery. Yeah, they had wealth, but they didn't have uncontestable wealth until you came, until they made you slaves.
Right.
They had money. That's how they was able to take advantage of it.
Right.
But they didn't have uncontestable wealth. Like they got wealth that you don't even know that they have it. They don't even know how much money they got. They don't even know how wealthy their family. They just go, you know what they do? Like black people have never probably experienced this. You just go, put your card in the machine, and buy whatever you want. You don't even think about how much it costs. That's the type of wealth they got. They don't even have to check their bank account balance. Just imagine that. You ain't never got to check your bank account balance. You go, hey, oh man, that Lamborghini, they look kind of nice. They said, okay, how you gonna pay for it? Black card.
Salakia, sir. They have financiers that take care of their bills getting paid and whatever. They just move the money where it needs to be. They just go and spend it whenever they care to.
Yep, exactly. Just think about that type of money. The whole family got bread like that. They don't even like I said, the kids, they go to schools. You only know that they even Rothschild school. They probably don't even have regular schools for them. They probably all got to go to certain schools.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I know they ain't public educated.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So just think about that, man. That's just real wealth. And see where it come from. Yoke slavery. That's straight. Like that. Like I said, I just looked up one of them.
Right.
All right, go ahead. Keep
They
going.
quickly became the dominant class,
Mhm.
writes Lee M. Friedman. Not inconsiderable number, or Salakia, a not inconsiderable number of the wealthiest Brazilian traders.
The wealthiest ones were Jews, man.
Khan. The Jewish sugar planters prospered, living Salakia. The Jewish sugar planters prospered, living on large plantations and making excessive use of local Indian labor and imported black slaves. By 1600, the plantations, the bulk of the slave trade, the more than 100 sugar mills, which with at least 10,000 black Africans, and most of the exports of possessed sugar were in the hands of Jewish settlers. Stephen Fortune.
Mm-hmm. So all this money just going to them. It's just ridiculous. So you think, so like when we say like about the Jewish people, they literally financed your slavery.
Right.
They financed it. They gave like the queen. They had the queen of whoever, Britain or Scott, or what was it? Spain.
Spain. Come.
They went to them because Spain was one of them countries with the what's the name money.
Come.
One of the bank's countries. They went to them to get the money. You know what I'm saying? When they went to all this, like they wasn't established before that. Like I'm because I want to get the dates right. Because remember they started getting into the banks in the 1700s, right? That's when they like on record started getting into the banks, of course. Okay. So now when they went over there, and then now they started getting the slaves in, they got into that trade heavily. But you see, they was already in the trade. That's just when that name Rothschild went public. You know what I'm saying? That's when they took probably the biggest advantage of it. It don't mean that their family wasn't already involved. Because remember, it said all these Jewish people that was involved. It just said that that's when they took on that name and made the name something. You know what I'm saying?
Come.
All right. Let me see that. All right. Where was you at?
I was starting here. Stopped at the end of this page. I was going to read from here as early as the 16th century.
Okay, you can read that last part real quick.
As early as the 16th century, Jews were interested in the large profits to be derived from the slave trade as a consequence of the sugar industry, and they appear to have had no compunction.
Yeah, compunction.
No compunction.
Yeah, hold on a second.
Come, the water.
I'll look it up.
The water. Want me to keep reading?
Hold on a second.
Come.
Compunction, and it seemed like it means they had no regard for it.
Yeah,
A
right.
feeling of uneasiness or anxiety of the conscience caused by regret for doing wrong or causing pain.
Come.
Didn't have any remorse.
Right. Salakia, I'll read that statement over. Salakia, it says, as early as the 16th century, Jews were interested in the large profits to be derived from the slave trade as a consequence of the sugar industry, and they appear to have had no compunction regarding their activity in human merchandising. In Voyage of Francis Pyrard, the author returns to Portugal for Bahia in 1611 and describes a fellow passenger. The Jew had more than 100,000 crowns worth of merchandise. most of it his own. The rest put in his care by the principal merchant and others. There was also another Jew on board, as rich as he, and 4 or 5 other Jewish merchants. The profits they make after being 9 or 10 years in those lands are marvelous, for they all come back rich. Many of these new Christians, Jew by race, but baptized, being worth 60, 80, or even 100,000 crowns.
That's money right there.
Trying to see what they value these crowns at. Salaki. That's a lot.
Shoot, let's just say it was $100,000
each crown.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Kind.
It's probably more close to $1 million, honestly.
I believe so. Kind. I can look that up.
See right here, this is the wisdom that Kanye West does not have. That's why he needs to be in the truth. Because he don't have this wisdom. He just starting to get a cusp of the wisdom because he be listening to us. Just getting just a little piece of wisdom. That's why he pissed the hell off. Right? Pissed all the way the hell off.
It says, I think this is actually an actual crown, what I found, but it's saying $2,000. Anywhere between 15 and 2,500.
That's probably
an actual crown, right?
So you probably, it's probably like, it's probably gonna be hard to find.
Right, what that means by crowns, but it's probably the value of a crown. So it's still a bunch. There's a lot of gold and jewels involved in that.
Mm-hmm.
Though the Portuguese had staked a claim to the region, they could not find enough colonists for its development. Despite the fabulous profits of those who risked settlement, there was, say the historians, a desperate need for European manpower in the face of Indians who died rather than submit to regimented labor, and blacks who died of too much regimented labor. The Portuguese difficulties presented an opportunity to the Dutch, who heard of the immense wealth of the New World and sought to gain access. Dutch merchants had been carrying on a profitable commerce with the Portuguese Jewish colonists, and this relationship was a major factor in the establishment of the Dutch West India Company, the all-powerful but private European Land Development Corporation formed to conquer the rich northeast coast of Brazil. Salakia, sir.
Mm-hmm.
That's heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Salakia, sir. And we're talking about the northeast coast of Brazil. Salakia, sir. All of that region, the whole top portion of South America, was called Brazil when they first settled it. It was broken up by the other countries coming in and colonizing different portions. For instance, the French came in and established what was known as French Guiana. The Dutch came and did what was known as Dutch Guiana, which is now Suriname. The English came and conquered what was known or took over from the Dutch, who also had this piece of land, because the country that I'm from, Guyana, and Suriname are bordered countries, which is north of Brazil. And all of that was owned by the Dutch until the English came and took over, bringing in their slaves, the same slaves they brought and dropped off in Jamaica, Trinidad,
Mhm.
the all the West Indies, and in British Guiana, which is now known as Guyana. They all were Guianas, if that's what they were called, because Portuguese Guiana was Brazil, and Spanish Guiana was Venezuela, Colombia, and everything
Mhm.
to the west of that.
I got you.
So this really touched home for me because I just went back to Guyana about 19, and saw and went on Fort Island in Guyana and saw that the whole quest of the British trying to bring in their slaves to fight the Dutch off of the land. So they used the slaves that they brought to fight the Dutch to conquer that piece of land from the Dutch to continue in the sugar trade that was prominent in Guyana.
Yeah, that's profitable. You talking about, because like they said, we showed how they had to stop producing sugar cane because it got so expensive. But sugar was wanted like
That's gold.
it was
Kind of-
white gold.
Kind
But
of
I don't
common.
think sugar really is white. But anyway, but you know what color it is now, white. It was white gold. So sugar cane, tobacco,
Right.
what else?
Cotton.
Cotton. Those were things that
Corn.
couldn't be grown. Yeah, corn a little bit too, but it was mainly those three:
Right.
tobacco, cotton, and sugar cane. Those are like the main exports because because you gotta think of it like this. You have basically a whole two continents as a reservation, and you got a country this small, right?
Mm.
And they all in your backyard. That's gonna give you access to trade with the rest of the world. So you can trade to Africa because they want it. The Chinese want it. People in your country want it.
Right.
People in other countries around you want it.
Right.
Because you got to think too, like who's not really participating in all of this? Russia. You got the Islam, all of the Islamic countries. Africa is not participating. I mean, not in
The trade.
not in the trading part. They were just giving slaves,
Right.
but they still wanted cotton, sugar. They wanted all of these things. They still wanted it, but they weren't participating in the land grabs.
Right.
So you got to think that this is like 3 or 4 countries. Like you talk about Spain, England, Britain, Portugal,
Holland.
French,
The Dutch. The
Dutch,
Netherlands.
yeah, Netherlands. You talk
France.
about a few countries.
Right.
Talking about what, less than 10 countries, and they're all relatively small.
Right.
None of them are like huge. They're all relatively small, and they got a whole backyard. Like they got a whole backyard that's bigger than their country.
Right.
Of resources, because ain't no resources in Europe.
Right.
So they getting all those resources, and they can sell it to the rest of the world, and they can name the price because everybody wanted it. As long as you did it cheaper than they got from China, nobody gave a damn.
Right.
And so like the whole thing of it was like I had a brother try to argue me before. He said they didn't need to bring slaves from Africa because they already had us here. We was already here. They didn't. Where the slave ships at now? I'm like, dude, you can't even find a slave. You can't even find a ship that the devils came over here on. It's called the slave ship.
Right.
Come on
Those
now.
are nicer.
Yeah. Those are nice. Where the hell they at?
Go,
They don't
God.
keep them. They got to get, over time, a boat, they just let it go to the ocean. Right? They got boats right now that they trying to preserve, like some old World War I boats or something like that. That's over in California. But they said that they gotta go take it up and destroy it because it's actually poison in the sea.
Wow.
So but then that's like a relic. That's unheard of for them to keep that boat that long.
Right.
They don't keep those boats. It's retarded.
It is.
Because eventually it's gonna rust.
Kind.
It's gonna have, all of the, consistent hitting, I'm sure they're not hitting big glaciers, but you're hitting small stuff consistently. It's gonna wear out the boat. I'm sure you're gonna have to replace the boat, so they probably scrap it for parts and make a new boat.
Right.
So why the hell are they gonna keep the boats? It's retarded. But then there's something called, like in logistics, like if we got trucking or whatever, there's something called a backhaul. A backhauling, like you got your money haul, right? Your money haul might be from here to New Jersey, Atlanta, New Jersey. That's the one you getting top dollar, right? But you need a haul to come back on to pay your bills.
Right.
Otherwise, you come here for free. Slaves were the backhaul, but it really wasn't even a backhaul because that was profitable as well.
Right.
But they didn't care about those profits as much as they did that sugar cane going there.
Right.
The sugar cane, because you got to think of, I mean, I'm sure they had to keep it some type of, tawab to make sure it didn't rot or whatever. But it wasn't a people, it wasn't a person. The slaves, they just needed enough to make the ship worth it, make the voyage back worth it. That's why they didn't care about us dying. Because it wasn't, as long as they had enough to pay for the voyage back,
right,
pay the sailors, pay all the other stuff, they didn't care because that sugar cane was their main, they was making such a big amount from sugar cane. Don't think, man, these devils, you see all the paperwork they make you do, they go get a damn license. What do you think the paperwork they did to have slaves and sugar and all these thousands of everything here?
Right.
What you think they did to do all that? They had to have paperwork. You just ain't know about it. They knew exactly which slaves they was getting from which tribes. They knew exactly what they was getting. They was exact about it. They just don't let you know because you can trace that stuff back.
Salaki, what you're saying so heavy because it's 2 points. They never expected us to read, so they put that shit Salaki. They wrote all that stuff down so presumptuously because they never expected us to read it. Mm-hmm. So now we can read and we can see exactly what they did and when they did it. And then I'm seeing what you mean about the slaves being the backhaul, because that would be the most the most expensive, or what is it called? The most overhead of all the goods. Because you don't have to feed sugarcane. Exactly. You don't have to clothe sugarcane. You don't have to medically maintain them or da 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 da. There was nothing that you had to do for sugarcane or cotton or tobacco. You cut it, you dry it, you send it. Yep. But these people coming back, that's problems. That's you gotta beat them, you gotta put effort, you gotta break them, you gotta do all this. So of course that's the backhaul.
You gotta wash them off every now and again, wash down there.
So
they all won't die. It's just
right.
So
wow, that's heavy. Salakia, sir.
Let me see if there's anything else we can get in here. What time is it? That's already 9:20. We're to do a part 2 to this.
Khan.
All right. We're gonna have to. All right, we're gonna tear into some more of this because we got a whole other book we need. We got 2 other books we didn't get to. We didn't get to all of this.
Right.
But just read this a little bit.
Ship seized in $1.3 billion cocaine bust is owned by JP Morgan Chase.
So the people that was shipping slaves and sugarcane, this them same people.
That's another export. Salaki.
Exactly.
A cargo ship that was seized last month with nearly 20 tons of cocaine on board, with an estimated street value of 1.3 billion, belongs.
How many tons?
20 tons of
20
cocaine.
Tons. That's 40. That's a truckload, 40,000 pounds. That's how much can go inside of a truck. And you know what's heavy about that? All right.
Wait. That's a lot.
All right. Here's what's heavy about that. When it comes to that, do you think that the people that ship those, do you think they just ship them all willy-nilly, 20 tons of, what was it, heroin or cocaine?
Cocaine.
You think a cocaine, if you're a cocaine manufacturer, do you just ship all of that? They got a boat, you just put on the ship? You think they do that? Or you think it's a relationship that has to be built?
You know where that's going. Salaki.
Right?
Right.
So in order for this to be done, this has to be something that's been happening for a time. I mean, I would say a minimum of 10 years. I'm just saying a minimum. A minimum. I mean, hell, you can go into some of those documentaries and find out how long it took for the mafia to get cool with the Colombians to get their cocaine and all of that stuff. It don't happen overnight. You have to prove that you can move all of that. Because why would they put all of that into you when they can give you, you know, maybe 5 tons, somebody else 5 tons, and their money is spread out. It's safer because they can get more of their money back. You know, it's a less risk. For them to have that much, that means they have taken this probably hundreds of times. They have taken this out. I would say hundreds of times, easy. And then for you to have this amount, this has to be CEO level. 20 tons of cocaine, you know how big that is? 20 tons of cocaine? Like when we load up a truck, right?
Right.
A truck typically can hold about 26 pallets. 26 pallets of cocaine. That can't even fit in this room.
Sir.
If you put it all in this building, you're gonna fall out before you walk in the door. The smell of the cocaine will get you high. You're gonna overdose. That's how much cocaine this is, man. The whiff of the cocaine is gonna mess you up. Think about that. Now, I don't say I ain't get into the drug trade and all that. I didn't get into all that. But I'm just saying, I'm sure there's things you got to do with it to make it so that it don't get everybody high. You have to put it in a certain place. You got to have it prepped for travel, all of these different things. It has to be loaded secretively, unloaded secretively. But none of the CEOs got in trouble. Only like a handful of people that work there got in trouble for that. That's the crazy part. But you know, this is CEO level. You can't move this. Like you're gonna go up and say, hey, I work for Chase. I work for this boat that owned by Chase. Give me $1 billion of cocaine. I'm gonna ship it over here. Come on now.
Right.
They need insurances.
Right.
They need to know they're talking to somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. They can't of course, they insulate themselves so only those low people get in trouble. But you notice how low this really went low on the totem pole. Like you didn't hear it. You didn't hear about this like that.
Right.
This is 20 tons of cocaine. Let it have been Black Mafia family or somebody that's new popping up now. Let it have been the Migos.
2 keys, you would have heard.
Yeah, 2 keys, it didn't matter. It could be anything. You'd heard everything about all the cocaine. Look at the brothers that's getting jammed up now. Young Thug and all of them. Getting jammed up they getting RICO cases. I bet you they didn't have 20 tons. I can almost bet you that. This is 20 tons of cocaine they had on here. 40,000 pounds of cocaine. $1 billion of cocaine they had. All right.
I'm gonna keep reading it.
Any more anything important?
Not really.
Okay. Well, that's the So yeah, and this just show how they did it. A source said J.P. Morgan leased the ship to a Mediterranean shipping company, a Switzerland-based shipping company, which is solely responsible, of course. They're solely responsible for the vessel's crews and operations. That's how they insulate themselves. Y'all all seen this stuff. How do politicians insulate themselves? It's the don't ask, don't tell, just put the money in my account.
Right.
So they have complete deniability. We all know this. That's how they move. You can't lie about something you didn't know about. Right?
Right.
All right. Anything anybody else want to bring out?
Slovakia.
Go ahead.
I was looking for how much You heard of Buju Banton and his cocaine trafficking?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that we heard about that, but I was just wanted to see how much cocaine they caught him with, and they're just not saying. So
I can guarantee you 120.
it wasn't 20 tons, right?
I guarantee.
'Cause he had that on a tour bus, sir. Salakia.
Exactly. Might have been a couple kilos. That was it.
Right. That's what I mean. They plastered him through the media.
You see him everywhere. You seen T.I. when he had a couple guns. Like they made it seem like it was illegal, like that. Like he had some guns that you shoot somebody
And it followed.
anything, yeah. Follow.
Oh, God.
Their body just burst into nothing.
Right.
And all of that. They made it seem like that, but no, he just had a gun that the barrel was too short. It's like really that's what it was. That's what make it illegal. So it's like it was put all over the media.
Right.
It was put all over the media.
Right.
But you didn't hear like this wasn't posted like that. Even because there's Jewish people all in these banks.
Right.
Jared, you remember Jared from Subway?
Come.
Remember he locked up in jail. I don't know if he still is, but he was locked up for child pornography, the same Epstein stuff, doing all that nasty stuff. He got locked up. That didn't even get published all like that.
Right.
You seen like one article. It might have been on Facebook. One day you didn't see it no more. So if you happen to be on the Facebook fast, you missed it. If you on a cell phone fast or slept all day that day, you missed it.
Right.
But he got locked up. So when it comes to them, they don't tell you about all of this. You're not gonna see all that. But when it comes to you, because they know, because you's the merchandise, they know they can sell a lot of time when they put your stuff, like time as in media companies. The more eyeballs they have watching, the more they get charged for advertisement. So then they can get more time of people's attention if they put it on you. If you do stuff, look at them niggas.
Right.
They can put it on you and you can get way more attention. They can get more money derived from that. But Jared, who gives a damn about Jared? You want to know what Kanye talking about. You want to know what LeBron James talking about. You want to know when you want to hear LeBron. You want to hear about the brothers. They not standing up for the national anthem. Not Jared, molesting children. Right? They want to hear about you not standing up for the national anthem. Right. That's more important than him molesting children. That's more of a crime to them because it's you. All right. Anything else somebody want to bring out?
Salaki. It was I found it. It was the Jamaican newspaper, The Gleaner, states that he had more than 5 kilograms of cocaine. So over 10 pounds. Over 10 pounds of cocaine. And this ain't
even close to one. This ain't even half of a ton.
What?
A quarter of a ton. Fraction of a ton. And you see, he got locked up about 20 years.
Salakia, I think it was a 10-year bid. They had him for 10 years, and then they deported him.
See that? When it's you get that time.
Oh, kind.
Then you can't even find. You can't even find who got charged for that. Because it got swept up under the rug. And you see, if you look even the first, what does it say? What does it say on that? I just want you to read this one last part. We're gonna be done. You gotta go and get out of here.
Kind.
Just read the first sentence.
Kind. A cargo ship that was seized last month.
What?
That was seized last month.
So they wrote this article a month later.
Right.
So they weren't even on it when it first happened. That show you something right there. If it was you doing this, it'd have been that day.
That moment.
You know what I'm saying? When Dolph got killed, we knew an hour later.
Right.
The whole world knew an hour later.
Right.
Because they knew they could make money off of it. They didn't get them eyeballs on you.
Right.
They did a whole cocaine bust. A month later, they writing it down.
20 ton cocaine.
This is like this is stuff that make people career. This type of bus makes careers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Gets you put into all type of doors and stuff like that. And you hear about it a month later.
Right.
All right, anything else?
Nah.
We gotta wrap it up.
Come on.
Am I on the conference call? All right. With that, pass the class over to Precinct Officer, the prosecutor. Yeah.
Come.
Here's our ISUPK security announcements. We are the ISUPK start our One West on 25th Street, Harlem, New York. Room for new brother and sister. When new brother and sister come to the school, they are living for 6 months. They are here to be saluted only. They are here to set themselves of the world. If they need transportation, a teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will call each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment, the book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21, and the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 to 10. My Israel, that means 10 in Hebrew. 10% of every penny or any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will for a priest, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you like to give. The next holy convocation is going to be the Feast of Hanukkah. That's going to be the 25th day of the 9th month. It's going to be Saturday, December 17, sundown. You also will find this in the first Maccabees chapter 4, verse 52 to 61. While walking and check the bulletin board in the hallway. If any brother wants to be a trooper in the school, stone wear all black, boot, shirt, pant, headband, or scarf. Know that? Give them a curse salute from teacher. Minister, a mighty. Mighty Sabat. A mighty. Rock.
Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai Barakatah.
Yahweh Hashem Shabbat.
While you're saying to you, Lashma Kadash, may the Most High in the name of Christ bless you. And Yah, you top me hands down, class dismissed.